Anyways, sorry, Utah. Sorry.
I don't really feel much sorrow in your voice there.
He said,
No. I'm just,
Utah.
it sucks. It sucks for Cam Rising to go down. There's a lot of high hopes this season for Cam Rising, and
Yeah.
did you say how long he's out for?
I haven't really heard anything.
Yeah.
But it to me it looked like he came out smiling, joking, laughing. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite couch potatoes. I am your host, Jay Cubs, joined as always with my co-host, Big Country and Feisty. And I know we keep saying that football's back, but now it's like all the way fucking back. We had our first full week, one slate of NFL football. We got all of the games to go through, and of course, college football still showing us some upsets and everything. So I can't wait to get into it. But let's start with some basketball news because we have to talk about our girl Caitlin Clark continuing to just dominate, break history. She became the second rookie in WNBA history to record a triple double, which no surprise there. But then she be already second all time, and this is just all like not just rookies in 25-point and 10 assist games, and became the first player to average those numbers over a 3-game span. And I'm just like, how is that even a thing? Like she's come in her first season and becomes the first person to do something like that. And
Yeah.
then she's also on a WNBA on pace to set a WNBA record for points and scored and assisted on, which is 37.6 points per game that she's responsible for in that instance. So I don't know if it's like surprising numbers, but not surprising from our girl Caitlin.
Yeah, you would think that it would be a little bit higher, to be honest, just because of the standards we've all set for her. And obviously, she keeps breaking those standards and keeps doing what she's doing. It's just amazing, dude. Especially, it just feels like it comes to her so easy. And I keep saying, man, I'm excited to see what happens. They're making their first playoffs appearance in a while too, and so it's gonna be
Huge for
awesome to
that.
see. It's gonna
What
be
did they win,
awesome
like
to see.
4 games last year or something? Like
Yeah,
they were terrible, and
yeah,
she's turned that franchise around pretty much
big
single
time.
handedly.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in the playoffs. They had a good game against Sabrina Ionesco a week ago, and so it's it's gonna be awesome to see. I'm actually gonna be interested to see how those playoffs go and what the atmosphere is like that because I've never been interested in not never interested, but it was just like never in the as exposed as we are now because
Yeah,
of Miss Caitlin. So
we're gonna have a lot more eyes on it for sure in those
yeah,
playoffs.
for sure. And now we have to you know the thing. If we talk about one, we got to talk about the other. She's been a star for her own as well. She's broken her barriers, her expectations that people set that they thought she wasn't gonna do too well. But it's Angel Reese, obviously. So she ends up with a season-ending injury, which is a wrist injury. So kind of not good news, but at the same time, like I just want to give her a huge shout out just because of the things that she's been able to do this season.
From catching her
A
own
lot of
rebounds, or
ah, you can't boost up your own stats if you don't miss them, dude. Leave her alone, okay? Going for triple doubles in rebounds.
it's almost like Russell with Russell Westbrook when he was getting all them triple doubles.
Whoa,
Wow, I see why you like her
Ooh.
so much.
whoa.
Now that does suck though to hear for her. I know, like we can make the jokes, but she has come in and she had that double double streak. I think that was a WNBA record
Yeah,
that we
like
talked about
14.
earlier in the season. Yep, and yeah, I guess it might be easier when you get 7 of those 13 rebounds on one possession. But
You guys are killing it with this one, aren't you? We'll make sure we cut this one out for you,
But it's
viewers.
going to be tough. Like we talked about, though, that would have been, I don't know if they could win and if they would have matched up, if possible, the Sky and the Fever, but that would have been, an
Sell out.
amazing box office
Yep.
type of matchup to watch. So, and
For
Angel
sure.
Reese being out changes that. Like, let's just be honest there. I know they got a lot of other players on that team, so with her being out, it's just the rivalry's not as exciting, and yeah, maybe not gonna
Yeah,
watch
I'm
it as
sure
hard.
the sideline shenanigans will continue to just boost things up. But like you said, it's not as going to be interesting to see when they're going at it against each other. So hopefully she, recovers real fast and that, she's ready for in time for the next season. I mean, she's done just as well as Caitlyn has done, and she's done a lot for the viewership. So I'm happy for
Yeah,
that. So,
just as
and
well. I don't think so.
she's done just as well. Moving on from that, let's talk about a player that only shows up at the playoff time, right? Jamal freaking Murray.
And
He
only
ends
if
up
he's
getting
playing
a
the
four
Lakers at
year.
that point too.
Dude, the dude just ends up showing up only once a season, and it's usually playoff season. So he ends up getting a 4 year extension worth $208 million extension. Like we talked about this earlier, I thought he already had an extension. Like,
Yeah, I thought we talked about this already this season. I saw that same thing. I'm like, wait, what?
yeah,
I thought he already got this, but maybe the pen to paper, the technicalities of the contract didn't get worked out, so maybe it's worked
right.
out now.
Well, and I don't know if I just don't know if he's actually worth that much because the guy is not he's not consistent.
Right.
Like we said, we joke around the playoffs, but it's very true, right? Like he only shows up for the playoffs. During the season, it's just almost he's in neutral gear, and then all of a sudden playoffs come and he's playing the Lakers, and it's like accelerated to
Michael
like
Jordan
level 5.
2.0.
Yeah,
Literally.
Well, hey,
so
when you
And
have the number one player on your team, that's you can
Jokic
kind of
does make
coast
it
through the season.
easier. No, Jokic definitely makes it easier, but it's almost like Jamal Murray was talented before he got injured, right? So
yeah, and that's the
those
thing.
injuries
He's
take a
very
big toll
injury
on you.
prone too.
Yep.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
anyway, we'll have to see how the Nuggets do now that they have my boy Westbrook. I hate the Nuggets with a passion. Just because they don't like. Here we go, boys. Cue it up. They don't like Daddy Braun.
There we
So
go.
I mean,
They beat
we'll
his
have to
ass
see.
every year.
Hey, leave him alone, bro. I'm gonna be on the team this year. It's gonna be different. Catch me at 2K.
All
Hey,
right.
hey, hey. Let's get into some football,
Yes,
boys.
Ooh.
sir.
Let's get into
Football.
some
Oh,
football. We're in the height of the
oh.
season. We're just getting started this
Yes,
year.
sir.
Let's get into some football. So we got some NCAA news to start off. Florida State falls 0-2 for just the second time in 25 years with a 28-13 loss to Boston College. I mean, hey, after ending last season with how the fans were so pissed off last season, they are not starting off hot this season.
Hot and water is where they're starting in the season, baby.
I would not want to be the guys that picked them to win the ACC right now. I'm telling you that much.
Who
Uh,
picked them,
That'd be
dude?
bad look. I don't
that
know.
that really sucks, boys.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to get a long
Hey,
season. Maybe things will turn around, but
remember when everybody was like Miami?
Yeah, Miami's looking like a better option about now. But hey, you know what
exactly.
though? Boston College is actually a good program. They're always
Billy
like
O.
really, really well known to like do these kind of upsets, and so it's almost like you feel bad for Florida State, but also that Boston College just got that dog in them, and you know
Mm-hmm.
us, we love the dog in the dog doing the dog fighting.
Yes,
So
sir.
we're
Well, and I
yeah
know Billy. They've been rallying around Billy O'Brien, the former coordinator, Texans coach.
yeah
And I think he's going to be. I think he was really good for that program. Not missing him as the Patriots' offensive coordinator either, because that was so great. But I think he's going to be good for them. And yeah, at Boston College, they're going to be something this year. So yeah, but let's talk about some more unranked teams, shall we?
this one he's more
Hey, all
excited
right.
about.
Look, we have to talk about him. I'm on the podcast. All right, we got to talk about him.
That's the only reason.
If I wasn't here, the only way you talk about him is if they played Utah. All right, so let's keep this let's keep this civil here. All right. Okay, so BYU holds off SMU with a late field goal to win 18-15 and improve to 2-0. I mean, you guys are probably gonna call it right.
Hold
Right?
on.
We're gonna start.
Hold on.
What? I'm just, hey man,
2-0.
SMU is not a pushover school.
No.
They're a good program, and so I feel like it's a good win for BYU to start the season, and they look good. They look good while doing it. Their defense actually, like, they held SMU to 15 points. Their defense looked pretty good. Everybody doing their jobs, doing their own assignments, not worrying about anybody else on the field besides what your job is. And the offense, I mean, 18 points, obviously not what you're looking for. You want a little bit more scoring, but they're holding their own. And I think that the BYU's, what I said from the beginning, BYU is going to play a lot like the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they're going to try to ride their defense, right? And
it's so funny when we'll get into that, but it's just kind of funny how those scores worked out for those two teams that you're talking about.
Hey,
you're right.
I'm just saying BYU did score touchdowns. All right.
Okay.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Hey, you know what? For a team that's third, fourth best team in Utah. Second? Just kidding.
Fourth
For a team that's the second best team in Utah.
Thank you.
Possibly third.
Give them some respect. Come on now.
Well, they did. Yeah, they definitely held their own. It was a game of just field goals. It was almost like the Steelers game.
Oh, did you pick up on that there,
Just kidding.
BYU scored touchdowns, all right?
I just a touchdown or two some way, okay?
Hey, you know what? I'm just happy for Wesley. I'm not gonna dog on these guys. It is what it is. BYU holds off a good team that is a good opponent, So whether it's the field goals or it's a safety, a win is a win, baby.
A win is a win. And you're 2-0 and you're winning the games that you need to win, right? So that's good. Like you said, maybe they can start off 3-0 and then hopefully for them find a way to, manage that tough part of the season. But they're doing what they're supposed to be doing now. So but let's move on to some teams that matter, right? That's what I'm talking about. The AP poll. And let's start it off. So we'll go through the AP poll. Georgia, no surprise, number 1. They beat Tennessee Tech 48-3. And I think they extend their regular season streak to 150 games. It feels like at this point, like they're just not losing in the regular season. They don't play too many, crazy opponents till the later in the season. So not surprised there. Texas, though, that's a game to talk about. Texas goes up 1 spot from last week to number 2 in the nation after just, obliterating Michigan.
Manhandling.
And yeah, they did. And I can say I'm not like too surprised because I think we've talked about it where we're just wondering what Michigan really is and, what kind of program they're going to be. And I think we saw that quarterback question really hurt them. And even though they were in Ann Arbor, Texas still shows that they're the team. They're, one of those top 4 teams and 2 right now. So I like Texas at 2. And wow, yeah, what a game. What are you guys' thoughts there?
Well, not surprised. Honestly, Texas is a damn good school this year. So, and Michigan losing a lot of people, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I watched that game actually, and Michigan just did not look like they knew what they were doing. It wasn't the Michigan you kind of learned to hate. It was almost like you felt really bad for them and you were just cheering for them. So, it just felt like they didn't have their identity. So I'm interested to see. This was a tough opponent. We all knew Texas was going to beat them. We didn't think that they were going to kill them. But it's a new era, man. It's a new era of where, legendary coaches are gone and new people are in. So it's gonna be interesting to see where they end up at the end of the season and where they end up in this, like, if they end up coming back on the pool. So overall, great game for Texas. Ewers was doing a lot of like getting out of the pocket, making plays extend out. Like he was playing really, really well. And I think one of the announcers said, "Sorry, what's his name? Manning. What's his first name?
Oh, Arch Manning.
Arch Manning. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait on that sideline a little bit longer because Arch Manning, or yeah, or
Quinn Ewers.
Ewers is playing really, really well. So, and I
Yeah,
agree,
it's
he's
kind of
playing really
surprising
well.
that he
So,
stayed.
yeah.
Really, as their backup with the way the transfer portal is these days. But I heard Peyton Manning talking about it on a show, and he said, that he's committed. He likes Texas. He likes Steve Sarkisian and the program they got there. So,
Well, he's red shirting, right? So he still has like 3 4 years to play.
oh yeah,
Um, so I mean, it
make it
won't
6 or
affect him too
7 if you
much.
wanted to.
Yeah, but do you
Speaking of
really
that
think he
Miami
waits that
guy,
long?
huh?
I think.
You
Well,
really?
I think Quinn Ewers is a senior, so I think
I
he's
think
going to
he's
No,
a
I
be
know.
senior
okay.
No,
this
I
year.
know. But I'm just saying, like you're saying, redshirt. He still has. I mean, he has the years of eligibility, but you really think he waits that long to test
Ooh,
the
Ewers
NFL?
or
Oh,
Manning?
until he goes
Manning.
into the
Oh,
NFL.
yep.
Gotcha.
No, he
I thought
probably
you meant
will
just
go
sticking
within
around
the
at
first.
Texas.
Yeah, I think he goes the first or second year of his playing, depending on how they end up going. Like first,
I
I
mean,
give him
we'll
2 years
see.
of starting.
Yeah, we'll have to
So.
see. Well, moving right along. So we got Ohio State dropping one spot, which is just because they didn't play as quality of an opponent. They had Western Michigan. They beat them 56-0. Nothing crazy. Same thing for Alabama. They a little bit tougher, 42-16 against South Florida. Old Miss continues to dominate. They're up 52-3 on Middle Tennessee, and then a team that I feel like a lot of people are just overlooking, dude. Missouri, they're up there and they're balling out. They are up 3 spots from last week after they beat Buffalo 38-0, and they're up in the top 6 right there. So good for them.
Wow.
And then Tennessee is up 7 spots. They beat NC State 51-10. And this NC State was ranked 24th. I think a lot of people are expecting that to be a good game, and it just was not.
Nope.
Tennessee ran away with it. So maybe Tennessee's back. I feel like they were kind of getting underrated this year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Tennessee is definitely underrated, and so is Missouri. I mean, both of these teams have been dominating their competition, and Tennessee beating a ranked team the way they did, like you said, Kyle. Maybe they are back, and that's and maybe they and with the 12-team college or the college playoffs this year, it's going to be. I think it's definitely going to be an exciting time this year.
Yeah, you definitely like hit that on the head. Like the 12 team format is going to be amazing just because it gives teams that didn't have the opportunity to compete and to show that they can compete with those. Obviously, Georgia is an NFL team. Nobody's going to compete with them. Texas, they're going to come second. So, everybody else at that point after that, you can really compete with. And so I'm curious to see what ends up happening with this season. Missouri has been balling out. Ole Miss was already on my list of like teams to kind of look out for. So I'm interested to see what happens with the 12-team format too.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be so exciting. I can't believe we waited this long to do it, but
Yeah.
at least it's here. Then moving down, Penn State stays at number 8 after barely beating Bowling Green, just up by 1 touchdown, 34-27. So a little bit surprising there. So I get them, the teams moving up above them, but just staying at 8, probably good for them. And then can't wait to talk about this. They keep, even though they keep winning, they keep falling down that
Oh,
power
oh,
rankings, that
oh,
poll.
you're talking about that Nike team, huh?
Uh huh.
You're talking about that Nike team. Yeah,
I
so let's talk about it, man. Oregon Ducks, they go down, and I kind of had a feeling that they were gonna, because I think they were at 7. I knew that they were gonna go down to like 9 or 10.
Yep.
So they're now down at the ninth spot, and they barely win against Boise State. Like it was a last minute field goal, 37-34, and the whole game, man, I feel like we don't have an identity or we just don't have chemistry. That's the issue. Jordan James is playing really well. I talked a lot of shiz on Ivan Stewart, our highly recruited wide receiver, the number 2 receiver in is supposed to be in the nation this year. Um, and he balled out finally. Like they were connecting, but then Tez Johnson slows down. Um, and I just don't know what's going on with the defense. We had a transfer, Jabbar Mohammed from Washington. He's supposed to be a stud, and he's supposed to do what he came to do and just execute and have Oregon kind of shine light on his name. But so far, I've not been impressed. Our secondary are just booty cheeks. It just feels like people are just lost out there, and there's not a chemistry in it. It does not look good. If you're starting out against Idaho and Boise State, and all respect to Boise State, to be honest with you, because they're a good team and they always put together a great program every year to and show out. But we should have not been this close. We're Oregon Ducks. We have unlimited NIL deals. Um, so it's yeah. It for me it was a disappointing win. It almost felt like we lost.
I feel you. And you said they had the number one ranked recruiting class in the top, in the Big Ten, was it?
Yeah, they surpassed Ohio State, so I
And
that's not coming into play.
and all that stuff you're saying, like them not having an identity and not playing, well together quite yet, it's surprising because I feel like that's the opposite of what we talked about with this Oregon team.
Yeah.
It's like supposed to be ready to do, that's why they were ranked 3 coming in, and they have, a lot of great guys. Dan Lanning's a great coach and should have been feel like would be able to hit the ground running. And like you said, Boise State, good program, but you're Oregon, right? Like you're supposed to be on a different echelon. So
Yep.
you are 2-0. That's the good thing, is you're still undefeated. You still got a chance. If you can find a way to beat Ohio State, if you guys make it to the Big
Ooh.
Ten, which looking like you might, but I don't know, because Penn State's still up there, right? So you got to find a way to get ahead of them. It's going to get tougher, so I'm not sure what you guys' schedule is coming up, but I think that
Yeah,
you're
we
going to
have the
have to
Beavers
start playing
next.
better. The
Yeah, we
Oregon
have the
State,
Beavers next at I
whew,
think in Beaverland. So
that's right.
that
Yep.
I thought that was gonna remember when we did this before. Sorry, Wesley. But remember when we did this before, I was like, that's gonna be our first real test, is that
Mhm.
Beaver game. And now I'm
Now
like,
you've been
ooh,
tested already, right? And
that
so
Beaver
now,
game might be the one that breaks us, dude.
uh,
So
you got
brother
to come
against
out the
brother.
fire in your gut, right?
Oh yeah. No, I literally have no idea what's been going on. I'm almost like
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that since last season.
Got to come out with the shots, right? Explosives. Pew, 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 pew.
Well, hey, I mean, look, Feist, as much as I love talking about Oregon, who has not performed up to their quality, I think, this year, especially with all their transfers they have and the money they have in that program. Um, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Boise State running back,
yeah.
Heisman, boys,
Mm-hmm.
Heisman.
Yeah.
This guy is carrying Boise State
Literally.
literally on
Literally
his
and
back.
figuratively.
Literally on his back. Let me just his stats for the Oregon game. This Oregon defense was supposed to be one of the best defenses in the
Yep.
nation.
Yep.
And this oh my gosh. This guy knows how to play some football, man. 25 attempts, 192 yards, 7.68 average. His longest run was 70 yards and he had 3 touchdowns.
Yikes.
Jeez.
Literally carrying Boise State to almost upset Oregon.
Yeah.
You're
That's
talking about a ranked team, like a high, probably, getting up there if they do. Like,
and
that
then
is
yeah,
impressive.
and then I want to, and then just going back to the first week against Georgia Southern. This guy, he goes 20 attempts, 267 yards on the ground, unheard of in football,
Yeah.
really. His 77 was his longest run, and he had 6 touchdowns.
TDs. Yep.
This
Jeez.
boy right here, man, I swear, he's Heisman for sure. Just 2 weeks in, 2 weeks in, and I already know, unless something and crazy happens, knock on some wood.
Mhm.
Hope he doesn't get injured. They're using him a lot down there in Boise. Heisman candidate, but
him and Mondre are going to be scary in that Patriots backfield next year. When we get a left tackle in the first round and get him in the second, boom, we're. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm excited to see, but that is impressive, man. And yeah, he's just been balling out. And I think you can even look at this and say that this performance is more impressive than his 6 touchdown game, just because that's,
Yeah.
like you said, Oregon's defense.
Yep.
And you about put 200 on them and you got 3 touchdowns. That's crazy. And like you said, it's not like it wasn't like he had a bunch of 40 carries. He was averaging 6.8 yards per carry. That's nuts to do. And
on 25 attempts. That's just a normal workload for a running back.
Okay, guys. Okay, guys. I get it.
And then maybe, if someone could throw for more than 250 yards and 2 touchdowns against Boise State's
maybe Cam is
lackluster
better.
defense. Maybe.
Like,
But hey, talk about a program that you do love, Feist, Miami. Coming up to number 10, going up 2 spots from this past week. And then they beat Florida A&M, killed them 56-9. USC ran away with Ohio State 48-0. Nothing crazy there. And then let's talk about this, I guess. I feel similar to you, Feist. The Utah Utes drop 1 spot to number 12, and they win. So they won against Baylor, but it's almost that thing, just like you said, it feels like a loss.
Yep.
So we started out 23-0. And so, again, I was at that game and just watching our offense, defense, special teams. We blocked a field goal, returned for a touchdown. Dudes are high-fiving on their way in the end zone. Like, everything was just clicking. We're good. And then Cam on a rush out of bounds gets shoved into like a water cooler table and stuff and injures his hand. He later came out with like his middle and ring fingers taped up in street clothes. But once he went down, I mean, you could just feel just the entire mood just shift on the team, in the stadium. Like we just stopped playing. And on offense, but even on defense. And Baylor started to come back. So we were up 23-0 and we won this game 23-12. Wow. And this was a game, where Oregon almost lost, Penn State almost lost. You had these teams, like we'll get into it, but Kansas State, Oklahoma, they were in some close games. This was a time where Utah could have really made a statement and maybe, jumped up. Maybe even like passing Oregon with them barely beating. I'm not trying to say that they are, but just the way people works,
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very disappointed. I told my fiance, I was like, this is the second worst game that I've ever watched. Obviously, Oregon, like in person, Oregon killed us last year, and she goes, well, no, there's the Rose Bowl, and I was like, oh yeah. Thanks for telling me about that. I'd probably rank it third. Like that was not a good game. Like I said, it felt like a loss.
Yeah, I mean, before I start getting into Utah, I just want to give a quick shout out to Miami's Cam Ward. That quarterback down there that first week against Florida, he looked similar to, let's say, Cam Rising in week 1, where it just looked so easy, just coming back. And anyways, just wanted to give a quick shout out. I think Cam Ward's the reason why Miami's going to win the ACC, and that's why they were my pick when we first made our picks. Anyways, sorry, Utah. Sorry.
I don't really feel much sorrow in your.
No.
Utah.
It sucks. It sucks for Cam Rising to go down. There's a lot of high hopes this season for Cam Rising. And
yeah.
Did you say how long he's out for?
I haven't really heard anything. But to me it looked like he came out smiling, joking, laughing. It looked like, just his 2 fingers were wrapped up here. And I think that they'll probably find a way for him to play this week.
And it was his throwing arm, right?
Yeah. Yep. Right hand. Yep.
So he'll
I think
probably have to play with his fingers taped and stuff then.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay. Just manage it, try to be careful with it and stuff. Maybe we'll see a little bit less running from him, and try to pound the run game a little bit more, at least for a couple weeks. But yeah, I didn't really hear anything specific. I kept looking, but couldn't find anything on him.
It's funny that you make that
Utah
comment.
loves to never. Utah loves to never give updates on injuries. Like last year, everybody's like, "Is Cam going to play this week?" Like every game, the entire season, and there was no chance, So that's the way Utah likes to roll.
No, I mean it's funny that you say that comment too of maybe he'll run less. I remember that first game they were like, maybe he's not gonna run as much anymore and scramble as much. He's just gonna stay in the pocket and do his thing. And he ends up taking off and making some incredible run. And so
Yeah, he's dynamic, man. You don't want to put that changes everything if you want to, make him into that quarterback. So that's definitely different. I still think, and that's the thing though, we see it, like you see this in this team. Maybe it's more speaks to his leadership style and everything too, but like when he's not on the field, the Utes look like an entirely different team. And even Isaac Wilson did not like have any command of the game at all. I know he is just an actual freshman, so like got to give him a little bit of credit there. And it's Baylor, who's a more respectable program. But I was even saying too, like I thought we were playing better against Baylor in that first quarter and into that second quarter than we were against SUU. Like we were in a better rhythm. We got that first week down, so we're gonna have to step it up, man. We're definitely gonna have to step it up. Even Utah State can, give you some problems, and then after that, it's gonna get tough, and we're gonna have to play a lot better if we want to have a chance, man. You talking about that 12-team playoff? There's so many good teams in the SEC, the Big Ten, that I'm almost like we gotta win that Big 12. That's how I almost feel, and especially get that bye week. So that's our best path. So we got to start picking it up.
Yeah.
But
no, for sure.
You just gotta hope, because I mean, you gotta hope that this injury with Cam Rising isn't going to affect him all season. And obviously he'll probably play next week if he does play next week, he'll play with his fingers taped. Mm-hmm. And we've seen quarterbacks do that in the past. And like, I think Joe Burrow did it at one point in the NFL. I think
what's his name did it too, Herbert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Herbert was the big one. Herbert was the one last season. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously when you lose your leader, when you lose a guy that's been in the program for almost 5 years, 6 years now.
Yeah, about 5, 6.
So when you lose that guy, obviously it's going to take the wind out of the team sails. It's going to take the wind out of the stadium, stuff like that. And just got to hope that it's not that serious. Maybe hopefully just like a small sprain or something and move on.
Yeah. Gotta hope so. All right. And then talking about a couple more Big 12 teams hot on our heels. Like I said, Oklahoma State, they're up 3 after they win in double overtime against Arkansas. And then Kansas State up 3 after narrowly beating Tulane 34-27. Oklahoma stays put at 15. And then LSU back up 2 spots after they beat... Who did they? Oh, Nichols. This team. I couldn't even think of like what they were called. I've never heard that team before. Nichols. I might be pronouncing that wrong, so I'm sorry, Nichols fans, if there are any of you. And then a big one, Michigan dropping 7 spots from 10 to 17, which I think is pretty fair. Just because you don't put up a fight. If you put up a fight against Texas, you might be able to stay up there at least near the top 10, but. I like them dropping down 7 spots. I think that's fair.
Yeah, no, I don't understand how Oklahoma State moves up after they go to a second overtime with an unranked Arkansas.
I think Arkansas's got a decently respectable program. That might be why. But I see what your point. Like you were ranked and they weren't, so when you struggle that much,
and with how much hype was coming into the season with Oklahoma State, wanting to win the Big 12, I just having to go to double overtime with Arkansas, and the way that it went to double overtime with Arkansas, that it just didn't seem dominant at all for Oklahoma State.
Right.
Like there was
Yeah.
no point in that game. They played down to Arkansas. You know what I mean? That's what it looked like the whole time. So just don't understand the three spot jump there. And then LSU. They're just playing a team that they pay them to come and get their
Right.
ass whooped. They just and that team just gets a lot of money for their for being on TV with LSU.
Now we know their name, Nichols.
I couldn't even remember it, so I didn't say it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my biggest one honestly was Michigan. Felt like they probably should have dropped a little bit more even.
Mm.
Yeah,
Where would you put them?
I probably would have dropped them like 2 more. So
19,
what?
20-ish.
Yeah, because that was a big game, and to lose like that, to get
At
blown
home,
out,
too. At
yeah,
home.
that's embarrassing.
Game days
And
there, everything.
so that was a big thing for me. I think that one was my biggest how they should have dropped at least 2 more. Because
Mhm.
remember when Oregon won barely, they dropped like 4 spots, and I was like, maybe they'll drop 2.
Yep.
So especially when you're playing against a ranked team, you definitely deserve to be dropped more. But LSU is LSU. I think we all know it was going to happen. But then Oklahoma State, right? Everybody's talking about them winning your guys' conference, and it's like one game they look like they can win it all. The other game they look like they're not gonna do so well, and so it
Well,
just
hopefully in
shows
a
that
couple
that
weeks.
conference.
Sorry, I was just going to say, hopefully in a couple weeks, they look like not that team because that's
Yeah,
when we're going in and playing them in Oklahoma State.
and it's
So,
at
And that's
Oklahoma
not an
State,
easy
right?
stadium. That's
no, it
not
is
an
not.
easy stadium to play in.
Not
In
at all.
Oklahoma State,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
we trying to go?
Sure. You
You buying a
fine?
plane ticket?
I think
Sure,
you're
we'll drive
closer,
over
so
there.
we'll just meet from where you're at.
But
Let's
yeah,
move along because another upset. This one nuts. Notre Dame, after getting the big win last week, they are
oof,
upset 16-14 by Northern Illinois.
oof.
They were
Surprising.
28.5 point favorites going into this game. So this was supposed to be like that Nichols game, and they lose. Oof, not a good look for the Fighting Irish.
No, this definitely, I mean, even just dropping 13. I mean, I know that they were looking pretty good this season. They were highly expected to just blow through the season, I feel like. And after last week, that head coach they got there, do you guys remember his name? I can't
The
remember
young
his
head
name.
coach.
Notre
Yeah,
Dame,
Yeah,
Marcus Freeman.
Marcus Freeman. I like that guy. I mean, the way
Mm-hmm.
that he hypes up his team and everything like that. Walking into Texas A&M, I mean, and playing the way they did against Texas A&M, I think that they just got too big of a head, especially in A&M. When you got to play at A&M week 1, that's
stadium
tough.
volume.
Stadium
Yeah,
full
stadium
send, number
volume
one.
max.
Ooh.
Yes, sir.
They start playing
Yeah.
Mamba. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stadium is insane.
I think that and it's only week 2, boys, but I mean, going in and doing what you did against A&M and then coming back week 2 and losing to Northern Illinois, going in as the 28.5 favorite. I mean, that's just very inconsistent right off the start of the
For
season.
sure.
So I like their big fall there.
Yep.
Yeah, talk about a team that couldn't find his identity. Like, I don't know what happened in that game. That was just as bad as, no, worse than Oregon. See, I'm taking that game as a
It
personal,
hits a little more personal, but yeah,
Yeah,
that Notre Dame
that game is
Definitely
losing,
terrible.
worse.
because that's a different thing. If they win, 16-14, barely beat Northern Illinois, you're talking about them still dropping a lot. But the fact that they lose that game is
Yeah,
tough look for them. And the thing is, in college football, it's different than the NFL. You lose a game,
big
especially
changes.
like that, it can change your entire
Yep,
season. And especially like West said, week 2, it's tough.
for sure.
Tough to see. Well, let's talk about even another ACC team that is better than Florida State, Louisville at 19. So yeah, I don't. They got a lot of work to do. Arizona stays at 12, and then kind of a surprising upset. Iowa State, after being unranked, go in to Iowa and upset them in the Cyhawk game with a huge 54-yard field goal with about 6 seconds left. And I think this is like the third time in like 11 years that they beat Iowa. Usually Iowa, handles this rivalry, but
Yeah.
ooh. And then speaking of Iowa, they go from being ranked 21 to unranked now. Kind of same thing, almost as Notre Dame, not quite as bad, but yeah, good for Iowa State to get that surprising upset.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a few unranked teams that came in this week, and it's it's only week 2, man. It's only week 2, and we're seeing huge upsets. We're seeing, inconsistency with the teams that were supposed to be dominant all season.
Oregon.
Um, yeah, I wasn't gonna say
Utah.
it, but you said it for me. No, I mean Utah's been pretty dominant. They just they lost their quarterback, and and
Lost
Hopefully
their
we're
way.
better. Hopefully we're better. So they'll come back. They'll definitely come back. And then another ACC team, Clemson, up there. They go up 3 spots and up to 22. And then let's talk about an unranked team that went in and kind of shocked the world. Nebraska didn't shock
Yee.
me or Wesley, I don't
no,
think.
Yee.
But Feist, you ready to admit that you're Deion Sanders and Shador are maybe some pretenders, and Colorado getting their ass beat 28-10 by Nebraska. I mean, whew, not a good look.
I
Not a
mean,
good look at all.
let me just jump in, Wes, because you have the same
no, you
opinion
go
as
right
Kyle.
ahead. You go right
Because
ahead.
I think the thing that pissed me off about this game
That you suck at picking
was
teams.
no, I'm all for the Shador and the I'm all about the Sanders, okay?
Yeah, all about the hype.
So I'm for it. I'm for it. Prime time, baby. But like realistically though, like you look at this game, right? Nebraska is doing some crazy things. What's his name? That's there, the head coach. He just got a
Matt
30.
Rule.
What's his name?
Matt Rule at Nebraska.
Is that who's there? Oh no,
He's the
their head
former
coach. Yeah, yeah. I'm talking
former
about their
Carolina.
former head coach. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My bad. But he's doing some crazy things there, right? Like he's building a respectable program. They sucked the
Mm-hmm.
last couple years, and obviously you're not gonna say Colorado is the team of testament for them, but Colorado barely beat North Dakota, whoever they played last week, or so
Yeah.
it just doesn't it does not look good for them, right? Like it doesn't look for good for Shador, it doesn't look good for Dion, it doesn't look good for the program. They definitely don't have an identity. Their identity is throw, 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 throw. And then the thing
Mm-hmm.
that pissed me off the most is this report came out that like Deion Sanders is just there to hype up his kids so that they can get into the NFL. And to the point where I'm like, it kind of looks that way, right? Like
Makes
I
sense.
at one point I was like defending him and be like, no, he wants to coach. He loves the game. He wants to help his kids. Like, and he also loves the game. But now I'm looking at it, and when you throw that many times, I don't know how many attempts he had. I wish I would have put it in, but like when you have that many attempts on throwing the ball, and then they ask him, why don't you? They asked him the question, why don't you guys run? He's like, well, I'd rather go down swinging or something like that when I'm the one swinging the ball. Like, haha, funny. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it just almost seems like the program is built for his son to be successful. And you already lost to a team you barely beat, or, I mean, sorry, you lost to a team that is coming up that didn't have a whole lot of momentum going. And now you've given that momentum and you've proven yourself to not be an elite program. So, they're definitely not going to be doing as well as I thought they were. I'm eating my own words, but
Hey, there you
Hey,
go.
it is what it
hey,
is.
I just
Gotta
gotta say,
respect that.
man. Do you want to know? You want to know something like an attest to character, right? I feel like terrible on Shador Sanders.
Yeah,
When you walk out of a game,
two
you get
minutes.
your ass kicked. You get benched because you're getting your ass kicked, and you walk out on your team.
Yep, 2 minutes
You
before.
walk out on your dad,
No
who's the head
way.
coach.
Yeah, he left. I think
I
it was
didn't know he
either.
did that.
I think it was
Yeah.
either 2 minutes or a minute and something. It was literally the 2 minute warning. He
I don't
walked
think
out.
it was 2 minutes though. I thought it was something like 3-4 minutes.
No, I think it was two. I don't think it was that big, but it was like two
You
I
minutes.
don't
walked
know,
out.
man.
You
He
walked
walked
out.
out. I
Yeah,
mean,
Either way,
you can
yeah.
defend it. You can defend
Oh,
it
I'm
with the
not defending
2 minute
it
thing, but
because
you
here's the
know,
thing. I'll let you get back to it because people gave LeBron shit about this, right? Like, not to compare or anything, but like LeBron, after like they were losing, he would leave the locker room. He would go to the locker room super fast. He wouldn't say anything. But this is like way worse because the spotlight is on you, right? So if people are giving LeBron shit for that, then I'm gonna give Shador Sanders the same shit that LeBron gets that I give LeBron, right? So that go ahead, Wes, because you're going off on this one, and I agree with you.
I mean, I just look at it as everybody's talking about this kid, and this is why I didn't like Caleb Williams either. The attest to your character.
We'll talk about that later.
Can
Yep.
you can you actually lead a football team?
Yeah.
And this is not a leader, a guy that walks out on a team after you get your ass handed to you. This it's terrible to look at. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And then
And NFL scouts are going to see that, right?
exactly, and
And that is your top what? He was a top 5 pick, right? Like automatically.
For sure.
And do you want that guy on your team? Do you want that guy leading
Another Caleb
your
Williams that I don't
franchise?
like.
I can't stand that. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
you're so overhyped for the last 2 years, and then you walk into the stadium, get your ass handed to you, leave the stadium, let down your teammates, walk out. 2 minutes. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if there
Did
was
you
like
see?
40 seconds left on the clock. You just
Yeah, for sure.
Did you
you walked
see?
out on your team.
Yeah, that's a bad look. And then speaking of another bad look, do you see Dylan Ryota, so the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes wannabe? I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah. It's
He
like
like has the
nothing.
same haircut, walks the same way in that little zesty way, and then but he did the
Yep.
whole watch thing like Shador did when he barely beat Arizona State a year ago, and yeah, it's just a lot of this stuff, man. You get these hype, and then you have like I know last year, they had a big win, and this year wasn't even a big win, but they were supposed to be better, right? And it just looks like the same thing, if not even worse now, because you're talking about this kind of thing. Yeah, it's just terrible. I didn't even know that, and that just makes it worse. I did
Yeah.
see Feisty wanted to mention it. So he went 23 for 38 for 244 yards and a touchdown. I think he had a pick or two in there too, but sacked 6 times. So not
That,
like a great game by any means. And I think you want your quarterback though. You want him, like dabbing up everybody on the sidelines, like, hey, this is like, this is a test. We're gonna get better from this,
yep.
like that
Yep.
kind of stuff. Not
Be a
walking
leader.
out before the game.
You're
Yeah,
supposed to be a top 5 pick. There's a lot of people saying you're supposed to be the number one overall pick.
right.
Act
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
all I'm
pisses.
saying.
That's why I agree everything you guys have said. It pisses me off just because it seems like this program was built for Shador. Obviously, their O
Well, and
line
I
sucks.
hope like, and he's talented.
Yeah.
Just like,
Oh,
Caleb Williams, it was talented in college and stuff like that. Like I can give you that. But when you want, when it comes to winning football games, I think there's a reason that, Caleb didn't win the important ones and Shador hasn't really won anything either,
because they all
and a
they
lot
care
of
is
that.
the glamour.
But they can toss the pigskin, get those numbers against certain teams, and but you can see guys like Cam Rising, even Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, they might not always have like 350-yard 4 touchdown games. You can win games with 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, and actually play better,
Yeah.
and use, like you're saying, like run the ball. When you mentioned that, Feist, like, oh, we want to go down swinging. Do you not know how like football works? I feel like we've talked about it all the time,
Feed
even in
it.
the new day and age, like run the ball, stop the run, right? That's always been a great way to win football games. And you're
Yep.
openly admitting, no, we don't want to try it. We're just gonna keep airing it out with Shador, and he's gonna save us. Like, come
It's
on
almost
now.
like they're just padding stats at this
Well, that's
moment.
exactly what I was thinking. I was gonna say is like their O line sucks because you can't run the ball. It's all either
Well, and
Shador
he got
or
sacked 6
Hunter.
times. It's not.
Yeah.
It's all around bad. It's not just that they can't run the ball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna continue to go on circles because he's the new Caleb Williams, and we don't like Caleb Williams. So hopefully he turns it around. Hopefully that program turns it around for themselves. So
Yeah.
we'll
Well, let's
see.
finish it out. A couple other teams we talked about: Boston College unranked, Northern Illinois unranked. Now they're up there, 24 and 25. See how long they can stay up there. But yeah, it's been what a crazy week, and what a crazy just first couple weeks of this college football season. So can't wait to see what happens when we get into the meat of it, when we get to playing rivals and everything. So can't wait to see. But let's get into the professional side, boys. Man, what a week one of NFL football. I'm on top of the world. I don't know about you
I
guys.
bet you are, bud.
I know. I remember saying it last week. I said, well, I wouldn't be surprised if all of our teams are 1-0. So you guys can check the receipts on that one. But we'll start with the opening day game, Chiefs and Ravens. And man, did that not disappoint at all. What a game. Back and forth. I mean, Chiefs look like the Chiefs, like I've been talking about. I know that we all picked the Ravens, and I picked a big game from Lamar on my fantasy team, which he ended up having a good fantasy game because he was running the ball. I think he ran the ball about 16 times for 100 and something yards. But to be honest, I noticed he's missing a lot of passes. And it's something that, like, it looked a lot like, year one, year two Lamar to me, where, yeah, he's definitely dynamic, but can he be that quarterback? Can he be that drop back guy that can, open up the field that way? And it did not look like that going out throughout this game.
I do want to say, as much as I hate Lamar and how much I, don't think that he's a good passer at all, um, he did get pressured quite a bit. That the Ravens offensive line was like Swiss cheese.
Oh my
Those three
goodness.
rookie linemen were getting eaten alive
Dude,
by
I
Chris
wish I would have
Jones.
known about that. Did either of you guys know about that, about the Ravens?
I
That they had
didn't.
three new.
I
I didn't
didn't
Uh,
know,
until
and
after the
that
game.
would have changed my
Yeah.
pick. I like, we could say that in hindsight, but I would have definitely changed my pick. I had no idea they had such a brand new offensive line.
yeah,
Yeah, and it was Swiss cheese, but it was
Yeah.
I mean, even at the end of the game, when you're on a game winning drive, or game tying drive, um, I mean, Chris Jones eating them up. They had to keep Mark Andrews in, they had to keep their running back in. They even kept Isaiah Likely in, who had a huge game. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
And
All out.
they and they kept all that protection. They kept the seven or yeah, 5, 6, 7. They kept almost 8 people in for protection at the end of that drive, at the end of that game. You know what I mean? Because
And
and
that's with
Lamar
Lamar,
still had to
how
run.
yeah, crazy.
yeah.
So
And
crazy.
the crazy thing too is I think he mentioned that I don't know where I saw it, but he mentioned that he put on some weight because, or no, he
Mm-hmm.
lost some
No, he
weight.
lost weight.
He
Sorry,
lost
that
weight.
he could be more agile again. He has that
So
quick
he could be
step
faster.
again.
He was a little
Yeah.
slow last year.
And so he's like, I'm a different guy now. I'm a new guy, but it's why are you like, you're a quarterback. I get it, being that mobile quarterback, but it almost feels like he's prepping himself to be a running back. Like
Yeah, I
that.
mean, and then we get to the I don't know, it looks really bad too at some points. Like we'll just get to that final drive like you're talking about, Wes, when it was looking bad, but then he had I think it was third and goal. Zay Flowers, I mean, I don't know how you can miss a guy so
Yeah.
or like
Wide
and
open
I'm talking about the defense right now too. Like how did the defense let him that wide open in the end zone?
in
Like
the
there's
middle
only
of the
so
end zone too.
right? And Lamar just missed it. I think he said like maybe he was expecting Zay to sit or something or keep going or whatever it was. But I mean, that's pitch and catch. I know that the NFL is a little harder than that, but like NFL quarterback MVP level NFL quarterback, you
Yeah.
cannot miss Zay Flowers like that.
I mean, that was almost like it was like almost 10 yards off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was
You
like,
could see it on Zay's face, dude.
yeah,
You couldn't
he was
believe what he did.
smiling. He was smiling and laughing like he couldn't believe it. You
He's
know
like,
what
this
I
guy
mean?
sucks.
On the
But yeah,
second
I
to
mean,
last play of the game, like, oof.
just I mean, it was terrible, and I don't know if that's because he felt like I mean, because he was kind of sort of on the run. I think he was throwing off of his right foot, kind of going forward, not like
Mhm.
throwing off his back foot, but going forward, running the ball as he threw it. But I mean, just you can't miss that. You're an NFL quarterback. You're a 2-time MVP. You
Mm-hmm.
can't miss that throw,
Yeah.
no matter
Did
what the situation is.
yeah. Any
Yeah.
thoughts on that, Feist? I know
No,
you're a
I
big
think
Lamar
my
guy.
yeah, my biggest thing is I love Lamar. I'm always just gonna be his supporter. I have told you guys this from the start. Loved him at Louisville, and it just sometimes feels like he's supposed to be a running back and not a quarterback. And it's like that's what's frustrating is it's like those players, the receivers, like they're you can be mobile, but don't let it be your primary weapon. That should be your secondary weapon to the point where teams don't know how to disguise like they don't know how to plan for your game. But if they're planning for you to be running quarterback, then obviously they know that you can't throw, so they're just gonna bring pressure up to you. And I felt like that's what Chiefs did is just kept bringing the pressure to him because everybody knows Lamar can't throw. So hopefully he figures that out this season. And then maybe next season, instead of working on your speed, you start working on your accuracy a little bit. So,
A little bit. And even with all that being said, we are talking about a half a toenail pretty much
yeah,
of Isaiah Likely. So on 4th and goal, Lamar does find him. And if he has white cleats, we may be singing a different tune. It was that close, but he was that close, out of bounds with just that little bit of a toe or something on that line. So heartbreak for Ravens fans and my fantasy team, hoping I get a little more touchdown, a little more yards out of it. And all three of us just starting it off with a banger. 0 for 3, boys. Not a good look for your favorite couch potatoes. And I feel like especially me, because like Wesley said it right before I made my pick. Like I haven't been betting against them, never do, and I shouldn't have here. And I think that's, you bring up a lot of good points there about, how you can be a really good quarterback and be dynamic. Patrick Mahomes, now he's definitely not as dynamic of an athlete as Lamar. I'm not saying that,
for
but
sure.
he still ends up finding ways to kill you with his legs sometimes. Just when you thought you've covered them, Mahomes will do that. But he's a passer first, and he's a good passer, obviously. So, not
Yeah.
surprised that the Chiefs get that opening day win.
Yeah. Like you said, it's definitely a big game, and it was a great way to start off the season and to kick off the NFL season. Let's talk about the next game. This team I love so much and support so much. Actually hate both teams. The Eagles end up beating the Packers 34-29, and was the international game
Fly,
in
Eagles,
Brazil.
fly on the road to victory. Isn't that your favorite song?
No, I hate the Eagles. I hate the Packers. Can't stand both teams. I probably hate no. It goes Eagles, 49ers, Packers for me.
Okay,
But this was a really, really good game, though,
it
boys.
was.
Like it was a back and forth offensive game. Obviously, the dumb Giants that don't know what they're doing would love to just give a great running back to a division rivals because they don't know what they're doing, and
Dude, and then did
so
you see what they said about him on Hard Knocks too? Like, oh, we're
I
gonna
didn't
let
watch
him.
that part.
It was like we're gonna go let him just test free agency and then like come back, like go for you're not. And they're basically like, he's not gonna get a big deal from anybody. He'll come back. We're not
No way.
worried. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So,
idiots, dude.
ooh, and then the
They're
Giants to
such
open up their season the way they do. Ooh, ooh.
with with Daniel Dimes. They're gonna be a great franchise for the
They're gonna be as good
future.
as those uniforms that they were wearing. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Anyway, it's a good game. I like.
Terrible.
I feel like we both, or I mean, all three of us, watching that game, it just almost felt like a Super Bowl game because obviously first it was an international game, and that's always cool to see how packed those fans can sometimes become and how
Hey, that
interested they
stadium
are in
sounded
the
like a
game.
soccer stadium. If I was like, I'm sure you see a lot more of that, but like those fans are crazy. Like sometimes it would like you couldn't really hear what the announcers are saying because they're just cheering so loud, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what is that? But it's
yeah.
pretty cool. It's definitely cool to see. Although that freaking that's playing surface though. Everybody was slip sliding around to start out that game, especially. I feel like they were nonstop talking about like what cleats everybody wanted to wear and stuff like that. And even with that, Saquon freaking kills them in 3 touchdowns and gets that hat trick, and oh boy, those Eagles, buddy, they might be flying. They might be flying all season.
Yeah, and see, I remember just talking about the field conditions. JJ Watt, I think he tweeted this, was talking about the field conditions in some of those foreign games where the stadiums are built for soccer,
Yeah,
right? And it's a different sport. It's a lot of it's basically like long distance running. There's not as many and obviously they're not 250-pound men trying to make quick cuts at
yeah,
going, at the speeds that the NFL does. Um, and the field just isn't up to par for what an NFL game should be.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing I wanted to say about the field. JJ Watt brought it up. I think even Bill Belichick talked about it on Pat McAfee, where he would actually, in those type of conditions, he would force the players to wear seven. What is that called? The seven cleats, the things on the bottom. I can't
Yeah,
remember what
the
they're called right
spikes or
now.
whatever.
Yeah, the spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he would actually force the team to wear those, stuff like that. So
well, and it's just interesting because, like you said, soccer is different. They obviously don't use turf as much either, and I know that's been a big complaint for football players, American football players. They hate playing on turf. So many players have been getting hurt. Odell Beckham is a famous one, where in that Super Bowl. So it's I don't know if the field will be ever to like change anything, but the atmosphere is amazing, and
Oh
I
yeah.
think the NFL wants to continue to expand this game internationally. And you've seen so many great international players just in basketball, football now. So like the game of just American sports are just expanding, and I think the Packers took advantage of that, right? Like Jaden Reed, sorry, can't speak. 4 receptions, 130 yards, which also included 70-yard TD. Like he only took him 4 receptions to get 130. That's insane.
Yeah, man. I think Jane Reed really, it looks like, at least so far, that he kind of separated, because I feel like those Packers receivers are hard to tell, like which one is going to be the number one guy. Do you even want any of them in fantasy? But Reed looks like a dog speedster, obviously getting a 70-yard touchdown. So exciting to see, although it's going to be probably a little rough going forward because Jordan Love, unfortunately, on the play before the final play, uh, gets injured out of the game. Later diagnosed as an MCL sprain. Luckily, this is the better diagnosis of what we were thinking, because it might have been a season ending. But this will be about 3 to 6 weeks, is what they're saying. A lot of people are saying maybe he has the potential to be on the earlier side. So that's going to be a huge help for the Packers, because I mean that NFC North is going to be tight with like the Lions and everything. Vikings get a win, Bears get a win. We'll see how they all are, but yeah, that's pretty tough. And then go because they got Malik Willis trotting out there. Oh boy, that Hail Mary did not look very good from Malik. It was not a good look.
I think the Packers' best hope is to win at least two of these next four games.
Yeah.
If Jordan Love is lucky enough to come back by the 4 weeks, I think that they at least have to win two games out of this slate. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree with you guys. As much as like I said, I hate the Packers and stuff. I hate to see that because Jordan Love's actually a good player, former Aggies. Like we
Yes,
always
sir.
cheer on those home team players, and so unfortunate, but hopefully it only takes him 3 to 4 weeks, and that he can recover because the Packers are definitely going to need him. I did see that they tried to talk with Ryan Tannehill, but nothing was ever officially agreed on. They just had a
Yeah, I heard Adam
conversation.
Schefter talk about like Tannehill wants to come into a situation where he'll be the guy for the entire season.
Well, and he wants to be on a contender team as well. Also, the other thing was too, and I'm like,
the Packers kind of
Packers
are.
could be a contender, but thing is, but the season's already started. Like,
bro,
you
who are
want to
you
be
to
a
make?
quarterback,
Yeah,
or you want to you want to
yeah.
not?
Do you want a job or not? Because you're not that good, and you ruined Mariota's career because they thought you were good. So f that guy.
But that's the other thing. But staying on the Packers for just a second. That's the other thing too. Is like they traded for Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't seem like anybody has any faith in Malik Willis at all.
Mm-mm.
And so it's just, I feel like that's a really bad situation, especially as your backup quarterback. I mean, you were really thinking coming into the season that there was no chance Jordan Love was getting hurt.
You have to play him, and that's a tough strategy to have because we know that can happen at any point
Anytime.
in the NFL season, especially when you're at the quarterback position. You're a mobile guy too, so it'll be tough. Like you said, they got to find a way to win. They got a good running game. Just Josh Jacobs had he balled out, so it'll be interesting to see how they do moving forward. It'll be a big question mark. But what's not a question mark and never been a question mark? The Pats. Oh, maybe we're back. 1-0. Let's go. We're so back. We're so back. Okay. Let me just talk about it. No, let's get into it. So obviously we had talked about it before. Jamar Chase has been that question mark, right? Is he going to play? Is he not? Because he's waiting for that new contract. There was questions about it going into the game. He did end up playing. And so we saw him in the game, but he was matched up against Christian Gonzalez. And I know we talked about it, Fice, for Morgan Duck. He was balling out. He locked him down for 3 receptions, 14 yards when he was guarded by Christian Gonzalez. So he had a total of 6 receptions for 62 yards. But yeah, dude, Christian Gonzalez looked really good. Our defense looked really good on all 3 levels. We were getting to the passer. Our linebacker play was good. We're stopping the run for the most part. And obviously like the corners and safety, we're balling out. I think we got a good defense. Like I won't say it's like good enough to really, carry us throughout the whole season, possibly just because the question marks on offense. But then we got Mondre. Dog. Okay. He carried the ball for 25 carries, 120 yards and a touchdown. So he's going to be the offense. Like I think we could see that. Brissett, he did, what we've kind of been talking about for the Steelers, where just didn't turn the ball over. Yep. And that's a thing. And I think it was Belichick talking about this, like, because there's usually a terrible like thing associated with it being a game manager, but for a lot of teams, that's exactly what you need. And Bill Belichick, he's like, I love game managers, so I loved it. It was really good to see, and it really looked like we had, full control of that game. We were in control of what we wanted to do. We did it, according to plan, and we came out of there with a week 1 win, and we were the largest underdogs in week 1 in the past 6 years. So
Patriots Super Bowl right there.
Let's go. Now you see how excited I am about this week 1 win. I think that's okay, right? I'm a fan. Like we got to overreact, Bowl, right? But Gerard Mayo was also very excited about this win, and he got a Gatorade shower, and he was smiling, laughing, that's a little bit different from how things were in New England with Bill Belichick probably would have ripped that team for only, winning by 6 or whatever. But it is pretty good to see. I would like to see, let's not be celebrating like we did just make the playoffs. Like there's a lot of season left to go, and it could, be honest, it could get really bad. But I think this was a really good statement win and open it up. We got the Seahawks this week at home. It might be gettable too. You might be looking like a 2-0 team right there.
I don't know about that, buddy. No, the Patriots looked all right. I think the bigger thing is that the Bengals looked really bad.
We made them look bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The Bengals looked really bad and played down to their competition, and it ate them in the ass. I think is kind of what I think happened there.
You just hate the Bengals. You want to say that?
I hate the Bengals and the Patriots the same. All right.
Someone picked them as their lock, I think. Win that game,
I was gonna say it, but
tough luck there, bud. Tough luck.
Can you imagine picking the team that you hate the most as your lock?
I don't hate the Bengals.
Oh man, How many
They're the
times do
second.
we have
They're
to
the
have
second.
this conversation?
I know. Maybe if Feist would get it right
Well,
one
he
of these
did think it
times,
was the
then
Browns,
The
which was
Browns he
your.
doesn't hate. He just hate Miles Garrett for winning Defensive Player of the Year.
anyways.
anyways, look, I don't. The Patriots celebrating like they just won the Super Bowl. I understand it's Gerard Mayo's first win game, first win as a head coach. Just
I can understand him getting the game ball in like the locker room and stuff like that, which he did. It is, but the Gatorade shower for a week one win, I do think that can tell you though that this team was really upset at how they have been viewed because we've been talking about like I've said it. This Patriot season doesn't matter if we win 7 games, if we win 3, like it's all about developing Drake May, and I think a lot of those guys that are in that locker room are basically like, fuck that. Like, we want to play and we want to go out to win games. And I think that's the
Sure.
culture that Gerard Mayo's trying to establish as well.
I don't know, man. I just don't. I just don't. I don't think that the celebrating that they did. I just
Not
think
for a
it's
week
too
one
much.
win. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the Gatorade shower either.
I just
Too.
think
Like,
it's too much, man.
yeah, a little bit too
I
much.
mean, they
for
were
week
all
one.
cheering, like I keep saying, they were all cheering like they just won the Super Bowl,
jumping up and down, like shoving him. It was it was
I
it was
think I
definitely a
think that
thing.
you guys are kind of looking at it in a different perspective. For me, I think that they probably were celebrating a new era. Like that's how I look at it. A new era, new coach, something like I get it. That's not a a game that you should not be celebrating really. But you just beat the Bengals. The Bengals were supposed to shit on you, right? And then you have a coach, new head coach. I think that they were celebrating his first win. So
Mhm.
to me, I'm looking at it more of a perspective of like a new era just started, and everybody's celebrating because it's a new era, not necessarily because it's a game that they just won. It's Bengals. Bengals were supposed to beat you down, and you ended up upsetting them. Anytime there's an upset, I don't care who you are, I say celebrate, right?
Yeah.
And then especially when it's a new coach, a new era, it's different. It
I
brings a
get
different atmosphere.
celebrating. I get celebrating. I like a Gatorade shower. I have. I don't remember the last time I seen a week one like Gatorade shower. You know what I mean? Like that's like
I
it's
think
kind
that
of
was
like what happens if you go and lose 7 straight games after that. And people look back at this Gatorade shower in week one, like you started celebrating. I think that's where we're saying. But I totally get
yeah,
your point because it's a new era, right?
yep.
We're back is
That's
basically
why.
what you're saying.
Where's the?
Yep.
I don't want to press the wrong one, but I've been dying to press the.
Holy
You got to
fucking
mark. You got
dude,
to mark
dude!
it, bud.
Yeah.
I am on a podcast with a Cowboys fan. It's our year. It's our year.
I've never said
Then I
that.
got the Patriots fan. We're back. We're back, baby. It's oh man.
Hey, speaking of
I'm
the
gonna be hearing this
Cowboys,
all year long.
Yeah, gonna keep
speaking of
playing,
the
baby.
Cowboys, baby, let's talk. Jerry Jones, famously known for doing some crazy things last minute. So first, let's talk about the game. The Browns played. We played the Browns at in Cleveland. We were underdogs. I think, like you said, we talked about this off
Mhm.
podcast, but them being away and having good defense. But boy, oh boy, did they got shat on. It ended up with a
They are the
33
Browns.
to 17 win. And I don't know, boys. That's that. There's not really a whole lot to say. The Cowboys looked really good. The defense looked really good. Diggs went right back to what he was doing last year and ended up getting a tip pass that he picked off. Um,
Did he also
Zeke.
allow 7 receptions for 150 yards?
Hey, doesn't matter. Zeke was
Zeke.
eating. It doesn't matter. Zeke was eating, got a touchdown.
Nice.
And defensively, Micah was making problems. Tank, Demarcus,
Lawrence?
I almost said Warrant. Demarcus Lawrence, the tank was making crazy plays on the other side. It was awesome to see. It just felt like it was clicking. And it's so funny because you guys know me. I don't buy into the hype, right? And people are like, "Are the Cowboys this is it? Are they supposed to be really good?" Um, and they end up signing Dak right before game day to a 4-year, $240 million. with $231 million guaranteed, which makes him the highest paid player.
Hey, play whatever reaction and just guess it. Let's see what you get.
Oh my! Oh my!
He
You
knew
knew
what he
it.
was doing.
You knew it. You knew that one.
That one I knew because you know how in our slogan in America is "In God We Trust."
Mm-hmm.
In Dak we don't trust.
Oh, well, you have to now. You got no
Well,
choice.
do we or do we
He's here to
not?
stay, bud. He's here to stay. And I
I
even
think he
heard
had
Jerry
2 years
Jones.
left.
Jerry Jones was talking about it, like even beyond this contract, he believes Dak is going to extend him. He wants Dak to be the quarterback after he's gone. Jerry Jones' words. So it sounds like he's here to stay, but he's gonna be it.
I can't help but laugh, man. Because this, I've been saying it. I don't think Dak's the problem,
Shut
but
up, Wes.
he's not. Hey, relax. Relax. You got your franchise quarterback.
Be good, bud.
But no, I don't think he's worth it. I don't think he's worth resetting the market for. That's my gripe. I think that they should have re-signed him. I would rather have Dak than have to go through 3 years of a rookie quarterback, unquestioned, unproven. I would rather go with Dak, in my opinion. But at that same point, don't think he's worth resetting the market for. So that's where I think Jerry Jones went wrong there.
Yeah.
And you know one thing that did come out of this that's actually really good is it puts the pressure on Dak now. The thing is for me is like it puts the pressure on Dak to make sure he performs and that he actually wins a Super Bowl for the Cowboys. I saw a report that came out that said, I was gonna take a screenshot of it and send it to you guys, but it said something in the lines of that him and Jerry Jones were talking and that like now it's the Cowboys are in line for a Super Bowl, and I'm like, no, we're not. Like I get that you're paying your core players, but there's more to it, man. I need to see Dak and Wesley. I give him a hard time, you know this, but like Dak is not the problem until he is the problem, right? Because it's those clutch moments where he just makes the dumbest decisions of his life. Like the other teammate is in a different jersey and he thinks they're on his team and just throws an interception right at him. Those are the things that piss me off and that get me like almost like I'm like, this isn't it. Like, I don't want this guy as my quarterback. And I think it's good that he got this big contract because now it's the pressure's on him. You got paid, dog. It's time for you to
Yep.
perform. And especially this first game, he did not perform. That was disappointing. I know that they didn't really have to do a whole lot because the defense was playing really well and Deshaun Watson doesn't know how to throw a football. And so it was almost like he had I think 170 yards and one TD, and the one TD it was to Brandon Cooks where it was like almost he was falling back and he just saw him last minute and just so I'm looking for Dak to be having at least 300 yards every week, having 3 touchdowns, and him and CD Lamb cooking that team. Now, do we see that? I'm not sure. I'm optimistic about it, but at the same time, you guys have always known me. I'm not the guy to say this is our year. This is our year. I've actually been the biggest critic of the Cowboys until they win a Super Bowl, and you guys tell me, so how about Dak, huh? And I'll be like, hey, he's actually pretty good.
Super cool. Well, the thing is, sometimes NFL games, football games, they don't quite work out that way. Like you guys scored 33 points. Like you demolished the Browns, who have a really good defense.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not going to have the stats, and it matters just like how you manage the game, right, and how you work that kind of things. I know one guy that really believed in him, and you might want to trust this guy's opinion. I don't know. Tom Brady had a lot of good things to say about Dak in his first opening game as a broadcaster, so that was exciting. Unfortunately, I didn't get to hear it because we were freaking at a football party where we had some Chargers fans and some Broncos fans and Seahawks fans, so we had to watch those games instead. Feist, did you get to hear any of Tom Brady's opening day?
Yeah, I mean he brought in a lot of knowledge because he knows the game, right?
Mhm.
But it definitely did not go as smooth as possible. Like
A little
it
clunky.
Yeah, it just almost felt like he would take a long pauses and he would it didn't feel natural, and I think it just gonna come with time. Like so it was a little weird, but at the same time you could tell the guy's very knowledgeable. Now he just gotta get into the character, like Tony Romo type of like ease into it, but then just take off with it because you know the knowledge, you know the game, you have everything to be successful. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll, definitely get better. I did want to say the Browns did have some good news coming out from this weekend. I know the game wasn't really good, but Wesley, watch out. I don't know if your Steelers defense can stop this guy. Kadarius Toney signs with the Cleveland Browns, so watch out.
So scared. So scared.
Oh man, yeah, probably good news for the rest of the AFC North, but
Good signing. That's a Brown signing if I've ever seen one.
it
I don't know.
it really
Him and
don't
Deshaun
matter.
Watson together, dude. Can
I was
you?
just about to say.
Oh,
Deshaun Watson doesn't even know what he's doing, bro. Like there was a part where I was like, I kind of feel bad for him, but then I looked at him and said, no, I don't. Like the dude's got paid a ton of money, guaranteed,
same amount, I
and
think, as Dak.
most of it is guaranteed, right? Like
I think
he
his
Yeah,
can't
entire
even.
contract is
it's a lot of the
guaranteed.
same. It's a lot of the same contract that the Broncos gave Russell Wilson. So they're either stuck with him or they cut him and have to pay him that much
Yep.
money.
But he is not good, dude. I don't know what happened to the other Deshaun Watson that we once saw one season or two, but he was terrible, overthrowing balls. They're in the end zone, and this man's freaking thinking that his whole team is like 10 foot tall and they can go get balls like that. Like he was terrible. He was getting ended up on the line. Like
Should have
he
kept
wasn't
Flacco.
even running. Huh?
Should have kept Flacco.
Should have, dude.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, woulda, woulda. So
Well, hey,
hopefully
let's
that
talk
they turn
about.
it around.
Hold on. Let's talk about a real AFC North team now. Let's talk
Ooh.
about let's talk about them Pittsburgh Steelers. All right,
Oof.
all right.
Okay.
Hey, 18-10. Okay, I know. We didn't touch the end zone. We didn't touch the end zone. All right, but we played Steelers football.
Yep.
The same thing that I said we were going to do from the beginning of the season. I
Nope.
called it. Mike Tomlin said it. All right, this is how the Steelers are going to win football games. They need a quarterback that's not going to turn over the ball. They need a quarterback that's actually going to keep the offense on the field, and Justin Fields did that. All right.
Hey, that's a big thing. So Russell Wilson out. Um, that was kind of crazy. It sounded like he was going to be the guy, and then his calf injury keeps him out, but he was still dressed, even though he was
Mm-hmm.
inactive.
That was the weirdest thing ever, dude. The guy's so cringe. I can't stand Russell Wilson, dude. I used to love the dude, but
Eye
he is
black and
so
everything, dude.
yeah, yeah. Literally game day ready.
That's Mr. Unlimited for you.
Mister
Hey,
Wait,
I
wait.
just
Mr.
Mister
Unlimited.
Here we go again.
Anyways, Justin Fields, I was asking you about that. What do you think about his performance there? Like, did you? Because I think that was not what they wanted to do. Like you said, they want a quarterback that goes in there and doesn't turn the ball over, and that's not really what Justin Fields is. Justin Fields, it's kind of an all or nothing guy. What do you think? Did they put any reins on him, or do you think he just he played well, he made the right decisions, and you guys might be going with him going forward? What do you think?
well, I mean, I don't think they put reins on him, but I mean, Bill Belichick said it best. Most teams come into week one with a set of plays,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's kind of what they were planning on. And Mike Tomlin said that they were going to have an offensive package for Justin Fields this season, so maybe they just ran a little bit more of that instead of what they would have ran with Russell Wilson.
Right.
But it seemed like you know the offense obviously didn't touch the end zone. I get that, but a million times improved from fucking Canada and Pickett. A
Yep.
million times improved, And I was saying, like Mike Tomlin said, they like every guy that knows football. The Steelers just need somebody to keep the offense on the field, no turnovers, no mistakes, stuff like that. And they did that. And the running game looked good with Cordell Patterson, Jalen Warren, Najee Harris. All them guys looked really good. Offensive line looked really good.
Sure.
Especially against the Atlanta Falcons, who have rebuilt that front four and have star talent on the front four. And I think that it was a good game overall. It was an improvement, and that's all I was looking for as a Steelers fan. And so just let the defense do its thing. Don't turn over the ball. We'll be fine. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick, do you think that even though you have a great defense, do you think that offensively you guys can keep up with teams to be able to put up points? Because you can't expect Mr. Osweiler to be hitting 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 field goals like he did.
Wait, what'd you call? What'd you say? What'd you say? My kicker's name was?
What's his name? Brock
Osweiler?
Osweiler? How do you say his name?
Former quarterback.
That's a former quarterback.
How do you say his name?
It's Chris Boswell.
Chris Boswell. Sorry. I think I said that to Derek too, actually, this weekend. He goes, "Who is that?" Talk about real life. Can he pronounce that name? But yeah, do you think that's going to be the case?
I don't think it will be. I think as the season progresses, I think the offense will start getting better.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously don't think that we're going to kick 6 fucking field goals every week to win a football game, but I do know that we can lean on the defense.
Sure.
They're just that good. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, and obviously against a team, say like the Chiefs, where you have to have a little bit of offensive power. I just think that, we have the best player on the defensive side in football. You guys can make fun of me all you want about the whole fucking award thing, but TJ Watt is the best defensive player in football.
Unstoppable.
And he could have had almost like 4 sacks, but 3 of them get called back for penalties.
Yeah, those refs were paid.
It's almost like the Chiefs game.
Kyle, that's funny. That was a funny laugh.
We didn't even talk about that illegal formation stuff in that game.
That was terrible, man.
Oh my goodness, I could not imagine. And there were a lot of flags in this entire.
There was a lot of flags this weekend.
All on JJ, dude. That was the dumbest calls I've ever seen. Especially that one where they called the offsides, and he was that. I think that was the one where he strip sacked him, right?
Yeah, he was pushing it. I mean, he
barely.
If he got it, he timed that snap better than the offensive line did.
Yeah, barely.
You know what I mean? It's almost like he was sitting in their huddle and knew what the snap count was.
Yeah.
Dude, and on the other side, that Atlanta Falcons team, and I mean, I know that Steelers defense is really good, but they did not look
terrible.
Good. They did not look good at all. I mean, yeah, I heard Falcons fans calling for Penix already, and you just paid Cousins $180 million. Now, obviously, it's not going to happen, not for a while, but it just wasn't a good look at all for those Falcons. And gosh, I just maybe want to switch up my $100 bet to for them to win the NFC South, because I might be going with the different team in that division.
Yeah, didn't we say that they were going to take it all the way, and we're like hyping them up, saying, "Are they all in? Are they all in?"
You know, it's week one a lot of times, and especially when you got to play a defense like that week one. You know, a lot of people say defenses are going to be looking better in week one typically than offenses. It takes longer to get the offenses going, especially when you got to go up against a unit like the Steelers defense. It's going to be tough, but still, you would think they could look a little bit better than that.
Yeah, my 2 biggest takeaways. First, Kyle Pitts finally gets a touchdown. Gotta celebrate that.
I thought he was gonna be out. I heard he got a hamstring injury earlier in the week.
Yeah, well, he was playing people, and now we got to give him one of these. So Kyle Pitts, man. No, he'll be injured, injury prone easily. So good for Kyle Pitts. I think that he needed that for his confidence. The headline said, "Relax, fantasy football managers. The other part, I think I took two things away from the Steelers. One, their defense is crazy, and as much as that we give you about J.J. Watt, that dude is
TJ.
insane. Or sorry, T.J. Watt. We he is so talented,
So good.
so talented,
So good at
and
football.
obviously, like I've told you, Derek's a big Steelers fan. He's going to the Steelers game here in uh, this next week, and we were just talking about it. I was like, "Do you think JJ Watt is better than TJ Watt?" And and I know JJ Watt has come out and said, "Oh, he TJ Watt is way better than me." But he just looks like the game comes to him so easy. You can double team him, splits him. You can triple team him, doesn't matter. He just uses his power to get there. So that was awesome to see. And I like I said, I know we just give you a hard time about it, but that dude is just insanely super, super good. And then the other part was Justin Fields and George Pickens. I thought they were connecting really well. And the thing that was working really well for them, play action. Play action is what's going to save Justin Fields' career because he is that has that ability to run. He has the ability to be just stay in the pocket if he needs to, but you have to give him time to throw the ball. That is the big issue for him. He does not read the defense very well and quick enough. And so his first option is to look at his number one guy, second option, gone. So if you do a little bit more play actions with him, I think he's going to be very successful. I love to see what him and George Pickens were doing. Really, like the amazing grabs that he was grabbing, and it just felt like they were building up a connection. You didn't really look at anybody else except him, and so I'm excited to see that develop. But overall, even though it was just a boring like field goal game, I felt like the Steelers did improve, and I'm
Steelers
excited for
football,
you guys.
baby.
So
It's exactly what Wesley said. And I feel like everybody was saying about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like that's what and they played it to perfection
yep,
in that instance. So it'll be exciting to see. And there I did see they're preparing Justin Fields as the week 2 starter as
I
well.
did see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So which I think is going to be good for him. And the thing is, you win another game, I think you just keep riding with Fields and Wilson's on the
So he
bench.
starts throwing
Yeah, but
picks.
I want to see improvement.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Like they didn't get past the 20-yard line. I don't think they even entered the red zone.
They did, and he just I think overthrew it.
Oh, yeah, that was at the end of the game though. That was like for
Garbage time or
nothing. Yeah,
whatever.
garbage time stuff. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean that all I want to see if we keep Justin Fields as the starting QB1, all I want to see is improvement from week to week.
Makes
That's it.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see it. Well, let's move on to a team against a couple of South Florida teams, Miami Dolphins and Jacksonville Jaguars. And the biggest storyline from that game happened before it even started. Geez, I mean, I woke up like super late that day, and so I didn't even see it. And I'm like, Tyreek Hill arrested for a traffic violation, and then kind of just an altercation with the police. And I don't know if you guys have seen like the body cam footage or anything yet. From what I saw, I think it was two parties that didn't communicate with each other like in any I don't know how to say it. It's not necessarily respectable fashion, but just in a fashion that's gonna you know, make sure that both parties can leave without a problem. So Tyreek Hill was cited for reckless driving and then not wearing a seatbelt. And the cops came up and, in my opinion, knock on the knock on the window like cops do or whatever, or the window's already supposed to be down, right? You're kind of ready for him.
Mhm.
And all Tyreek would say is, I'm not, don't hit my window like that. 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 And he kept saying it. And I'm like, you're just like you're not
Asking
even
for
trying to
something.
talk to this cop.
Yeah.
And he lost, and I think the cop lost his patience very quickly after
Yeah, he
that,
did.
which is it's hard to do. But the thing is, when you're a police officer, you're better than or you have to be better than like the
You
rest of
have to
us, like.
be a model citizen.
Exactly. And you can't lose it like that. So then they force him out of the car, force him down to the ground. I saw another video later, like he was just standing, not resisting at all, and they just decided to fold him over and push him down. So I don't know. I'll let you guys talk about that before we get into the game. What are you guys' thoughts on that crazy, crazy situation?
I mean, from the body cam footage, I mean, obviously, I think he did. From what I remember, I think he did have his window rolled down when the cop first came up, and then as they were walking away, they didn't want his window rolled back up, and he did that. And then he tapped on the window, tapped on the window, tapped on the window. Tyreek cracked it and said, "Don't touch my window like that. Don't touch my window." And then a different cop, the one that wasn't even a part of like the original, he came over and was like, um, but you need to roll your window down or I'm tearing you out of the car. That's the guy that escalated the situation, and obviously that's the cop I think that is definitely in the wrong, because he escalated, and a cop's whole job is to de-escalate. That's
Right.
the whole point. That's the whole point of their job.
Yes, sir.
And then when they did pull him out of the car, they laid him on the ground. I mean, I don't really think that they've really forced him because obviously Tyreek didn't really fight back. So then they put him to the ground, handcuffed him, and then when he got to the curb, they wanted him to sit down, and he was resisting them then to sit down, and then they forced him to sit down. And I remember Tyreek saying something like he just
surgery or
yeah,
something.
just had knee surgery. I just had knee surgery. But why would you say that? You're about to go play in a football game.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why?
I don't know if he's just worried about it. It was weird. Yeah, I like crazy.
Yeah, I think both parties were in the wrong in this. Obviously, I'm a firm believer that your actions is what causes the cop to react. It's almost they're in a reactive stage, and so anything that they feel like is happening is what they're gonna react to. I mean, there's good
Mhm.
people and bad people and everything, right? But they have instant like seconds to make a choice, you know. And this is not the extreme where all that stuff that was happening, but it happens where you have to make that decision super quick, super fast, and it doesn't always work out to your favorite. And so, and sometimes, you're an athlete, you're a celebrity, it gets to your head and you think you're above the law. And not that I'm saying Tyreek Hill is or that he was, but sometimes that happens too, right? So, like, there's that aspect of it. But having, I think, was it 4 cops show up? 4 to 6 cops was unnecessary. I feel like I think that kind of made a scene that it didn't really need to be.
I think the
Um,
only reason why they did that is because he was in a sports car. The sports car that he was in because they do that with any car like that.
yeah, but at
They
the
come in
same
groups
time,
like
I
that.
feel like that's just a little. I don't know. That's just like I said, it's just opinion, but I feel like that was just unnecessary, and I think both parties could have worked together to de-escalate that. Um, Shoot,
Yeah, I think
Mason.
definitely. But but good news is he's able to play. He's able to make it to the game, and he's able to beat Tyreek Hill. I
Yep.
mean, crazy. I feel like this is a guy we. At least I definitely feel this way. I don't know how you guys thought, but I know we've been talking about the top 3 receivers a lot. We've been saying Jay Jettas and then CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase. I think you got to put Tyreek Hill in there. I might put him maybe number 2. Like I think he's definitely top 3. If you're gonna put them top 4, like dog, and
You
he
say
showed
number
that.
2?
Yeah, I think I'd put him number 2 right now.
Interesting.
Maybe not go. Maybe future he's a little bit older, but I think still he's. I mean, he almost won MVP last year. Like people were talking about that. He almost got 2,000 yards before he was injured. So I might put him up there, but
So
he had a
CD
part
Lamb,
3.
um, CD Lamb, and then Tyreek Hill, and then Justin Jefferson, or how are you doing that?
Justin Jefferson 1, Tyreek Hill 2, CeeDee Lamb 3,
Mm.
Jamar Chase 4. I think that's what I would do.
Mm. Interesting.
You want to just tell your fucking opinion, bud, instead of just sitting there.
I'm just trying to gather information. I mean,
What's your top 3? Let's see your top 3. You
honest?
can be a homer.
No, honest. I think it goes Justin Jefferson, CD Lamb, Tyreek Hill.
Okay,
Like I wouldn't put Tyreek Hill over. Um, yeah, I wouldn't take. Oh yeah, I wouldn't put Tyreek Hill over CD Lamb.
that's
But I
fair.
think he's top 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would, but
That's because you suck at picking players. So, and you have something against Cowboys.
Yeah,
So
they're the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
how about them Cowboys? I'm getting that shit tatted right here once they win a
I
Super
hope
Bowl.
you do.
Hey,
Get a
I'll
quote from
get my
Stephen A. Smith on there too.
I will.
I'll get my 2 cents in on that receiver thing. On your top wide receiver, obviously Justin Jefferson because he does it with Nick Mullins last season. Just absolute dog. And then I feel like you could either put. I mean, Tyreek is obviously unbelievable, but I feel like you could put either CD or Tyreek
No, you have to
in.
pick.
Nope.
You have to pick. You can't just say either
Then I
or.
pick Tyreek. If you're gonna force my hand, I'm gonna pick Tyreek.
Ooh,
That's why Miles
Bitch.
Garrett is always going to be the best defensive
yeah,
player.
yeah. Yeah, obviously I put so then those two, and then I put Jamar Chase at 4. That's kind of like what my top 4 would be, and
yeah.
then 5 you could really put anything there.
Regardless, Tyreek Hill deserves to be in that conversation still. So
Mm-hmm.
we definitely forgot about that, but no, it's definitely crazy. Somehow, Jalen Ramsey becomes the highest paid quarterback though in NFL history. I'm just kind of surprised by that. I thought he was washed. Is he not
Yeah, I thought he
washed now?
was done for.
I thought he was washed too.
That's what
I
I
thought he was
thought.
washed when he played for the Rams.
No, I think he was good for the Rams, but
He was
here I
okay. It was
thought he was
definitely
done.
I think Jags was his prime, and then he started to kind of go down. And then I didn't know that was crazy because I thought like I don't know, but because Pat Surtain became the highest paid cornerback in the league, and then like the day later, Jalen Ramsey got a little bit higher of a contract. But yeah, pretty awesome contracts there for those guys. I like Pat Surtain. I think he's a lockdown guy, so I'm surprised that Jalen got him, but no, he's a good name. Let's move on to Sunday Night Football though, because boy, what another instant classic! That was just awesome to see. Rams versus Lions. Overall, great game. I think kind of what you expect from those teams. Unfortunately, Puka Nakua goes down with a PCL sprain pretty early in that game, and he gets placed on IR, so he'll miss at least the next 4 games. Gotta love that from my 2 fantasy teams I got him on. That's just going to be so fun when he was my number 1 or number 2 pick. But Lions are able to pull off the win in overtime, and boy, it wasn't even like once we got to overtime, it didn't even feel like it was an overtime game because the Lions are just dominating. I mean, they ran the ball right down their throats, right down the field, get the Sunday night football win, beat the Rams again. I still think the Rams are going to be good. Um, and even with Puka going down, Cooper Cup still there. Like, don't forget that. Kyron Williams looks like a dog, and obviously Matthew Stafford. So, what a classic to start off the Sunday night football slate, boys.
Yeah, no, it was a great game. Great game. Yeah, I mean the Lions just look dominant, and then Matthew Stafford does Matthew Stafford things and brings the Rams right back into it. I mean, I think that Matthew Stafford's one of the best ever do the comeback. I mean,
Yeah.
He's a comeback king.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that man can bring any game back into a winning situation for the teams that he's played on. He did it in Detroit all the time when Detroit was dog shit.
Yeah.
And then now he's doing it for the Rams. So, and at his age too, I mean, it's just, yeah, just a great game overall.
One of my favorite parts of that game was the intro, where Calvin Johnson, Megatron, was like, I did this at this stadium, and we didn't even win a single game. That was like one of my favorite parts. I was like, yeah, you guys are dog. And now to see this program and what Dan Campbell has done to this program has been amazing. He's so invested in it. He's so hyped about everything. I actually really like him as a coach. And they're just going to continue to, some people are picking them to even make it to the Super Bowl this year. I would love to see it, 2 underdogs, to be up there together, but at the same time,
Yeah, the
it's
Niners are
gonna
the only
be
real competition too in the NFC. I think if you look at it, so that's not a bad pick for the Lions to
yeah,
make it to the Super Bowl.
right, yeah. So yeah, right, right, right. Yeah,
Is it
I
your five?
agree. I agree. I
Is
agree.
it
I was,
your five?
huh? Uh,
There might.
After Dak
Oh,
leaves.
I didn't even
After
think
Dak
about.
leaves.
Do you think that? Oh, okay. In next decade.
Yeah. After Dak leaves, I'll say it's our year. So
But yeah, no, those lines, man. And the thing is, you look at it top to bottom. They got dogs at almost every position. I mean,
yep.
offensive line, running backs might have the best running back duo in the league. You got Aiden Hutchinson on the defense. You got some guys in the secondary, and then a guy that everybody looked over and thought was the throwaway trade in that Matthew Stafford trade is Jared Goff, and I
Turns
think
out.
he's continuing to just ball the hell out, and I think he's still underrated in my opinion. And yeah, they were. I mean, if they were a couple field goals, maybe one field goal away from winning and going to the Super Bowl last year, and so I think if they can mellow out, play a little better situational football, and not just always go for it, they're going to be tough to
Yeah.
stop in the
Especially
NFC.
that home crowd. They're so excited about that franchise and they're so invested in it. And so it's good to see them succeed. When a franchise sucks so bad, it's good to see them succeed. Hopefully the Browns will have that same success once Deshaun Watson gets released and they
Deshaun
figure out
Watson,
what they're
Jared
doing.
Goff, very different. Very, very different.
Very different.
We'll just
Team
say very
player,
different.
the other one.
What? What?
Yeah, well, you need
What?
to play the Ravens right now.
I know, I know. I just don't know which one it is. I'm scared. Hold on.
Oh. You got me
Ah,
clapped in there.
dang it. No, we're not clapping for Deshaun Watson, but we're clapping
No,
for Jared Goff.
hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, boys, let's get into another primetime game. We got Monday Night Football, 49ers versus the Jets. They open up the 49ers come out with the win on Monday Night Football. Just 49ers doing 49ers things, man. Just look
And Jets doing
dominating.
Jets things too. Jets is still the Jets, baby.
Yeah,
Pats win, Jets lose. We're back. Just like every
all
time.
is right in the world. All is right in the
All is
world.
right in
Final
the
circle.
world. Exactly. But no, that Niners team looked nuts. And Feist, I know you were super excited to see Christian McCaffrey go down, or at least be it ruled inactive just prior to the game.
It pissed me off, dude. That was the one thing that I was like, the one I texted this out in our fantasy league, right? It's like he carries Wesley to a championship. Literally carries his whole team. Literally carries him while he tries to grab what he's grabbing that you guys don't see that we'll cut later, edit out. But then like minutes before the game, look at this guy.
Oh boy.
But minutes before the game, he ends up freaking being ruled inactive. Like I couldn't even drop the player to go switch to somebody else because I didn't. Obviously, I could have, but I didn't want to because I had somebody in my injured reserve list. So that kind of made me mad, but it also showed their strength, right? Like they almost didn't miss Christian McCaffrey,
No.
and you know why?
It's Jordan Mason, baby. Jordan Mason, the
Hey.
undrafted backup, came in and balled the hell out. Looked just like Christian McCaffrey, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean and I can't remember who I heard say this. I think it was one of the announcers on the game. He's the type of guy that Shanahan looks for. That's the type of running back that he wants. He wants that one cut, and you're going back. And he played it pretty well. I mean, undrafted. He came into the league undrafted. This is his first debut starting game, and he showed up and showed out, man. That's that's all that's it.
He did.
And hey, it helps. It helps when you sign a guy like Trent Williams.
Yep.
It helps when you sign a guy like Trent Williams.
And I think it's just what we were talking about too, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
What did he get?
He got a 3-year, $82.66 million extension that includes $46 million guaranteed.
Perfect, right?
Hey.
Perfect for him.
Yeah, I mean, to sign a guy like that, cornerstone of your offensive line, it's the perfect setup for the 49ers. Obviously, when you don't have to sign Brock Purdy to a big deal, you can sign guys like this, like Christian McCaffrey, like Ayuk in his big deal Trent Williams.
Yep.
But once you start getting into that where you have to start signing, or you have to finally give Brock Purdy his money,
Something's gonna
that's
lose.
that's when you'll start losing something.
I feel like one of those receivers are gonna be gone. I feel like you got to keep Trent, obviously, and then CMC. Even with how talented that team is, so many times he is the entire team. And I don't know, Devo, he's
Debo's
dynamic,
gotta go.
so it's incredible. The guy who makes sense for me to leave is Brandon Ayuk. Makes the most sense, but they just barely resigned him, so I don't know how that would work, but
I
that's
don't
gonna
know if
be
you guys
interesting to
heard.
see.
Have you guys heard the drama with him though? Like why he signed and stuff. So they gave him a letter and
Like 5-day
told
notice.
they told him to either play or he's gonna not he's not gonna be playing on a team at all. They also gave him the ultimatum of either the Steelers or the 49ers. So maybe he was the guy to get rid of. I don't know. I respect these organizations that are like, hey, we care about you. You've done things for us. Dude, at the end of the day, business is business. I'd have traded his ass. This is my guy and gotten whatever I got for it. Business is business, right?
Dude,
Like,
can you
what is he
imagine
going
him
to
on?
do?
I'm just gonna say, I won't
Imagine
say
him
it.
on the.
That team, how good they looked already.
Bad.
Ooh, they would have
Ooh.
scored a touchdown or
Speaking of
two.
another guy though, too, that's still on his holdout, Hassan Reddick for the Jets. That's making no sense for me because now I think he's getting fined like
He's at
almost a
5 million
million
plus.
It's 800,000 a
a
game.
game.
Yeah,
That
he's at like
make
5
no
million
freaking
plus now.
sense. But at the same time, maybe it does because, like I said, Jets are still the Jets, and even though Aaron Rodgers is able to stay healthy for the entire game, I know they had some good plays. Him and Garrett Wilson look like they can be good together, but that definitely. What was the score? I think it was like 33-19 or
Yeah,
something.
they didn't do too well.
32-19. Yeah, it just
And
didn't
Tyrod
look.
Taylor scored in garbage time.
Oh yeah. So it's not looking too good for the Jets. But let's move on. Let's talk about our pick'ems. So just to make sure, we'll say it's at least the one time, just kind of explain what we're doing. So we each are going to pick a lock. So if you pick a lock, then you get 3 points if they win, but you lose 5 points if they lose. So better be sure about picking your locks. Pick an underdog is another one. So if they cover, you get 3 points, and lose. If they cover but lose, you get 3 points. If they win, then you get however many points they were underdogs. So if they were a 7-point underdog, you get 7 points for picking them. So that way, maybe you go for those really heavy underdogs. But then we're just picking one more game. You can pick whoever. Doesn't matter if they win, you get 5 points. So we'll go through my picks. Lock
Wait.
Falcons. What's
Let's
up?
do the standings.
Well, I will get to
We're
the
getting into
standings.
that. We're getting into that. We're getting into that.
I just
Because
wanted
my
the
lock
viewers
pick.
to. I wanted the viewers to know
You got to
first.
wait just a little bit longer.
Gosh dang
Buddy.
it!
Jeez, this guy, man.
I
I
did
thought I
so
was
bad.
bad.
Okay, I'll save it. I'll save it. I'm sorry.
So my lock pick was the Falcons against the Steelers. Oof. I
Ouch.
think my hatred for the Steelers might have run a little bit too strong there. And I thought I'd believe more in the Falcons. I mean, you guys, I've been saying it on this podcast. I thought they were going to be, runaway NFC South champions, but I lose 5 points for that. My underdog pick was the Cardinals. They barely cover. They were 6.5-point underdogs. They lost by 6. So I got them there. My random pick was the Texans, and they won, so got points there. And then we'll get into Wesley's picks after, if Feist can hold off for just a little bit longer.
I'm biting my nails.
All right. So my picks, I had the Bengals. Ouch.
Ooh.
I love that we both
I
picked
guess
our locks against each other's teams.
I guess my hatred for the Patriots ran a little too deep too there, buddy. My underdog pick was the Steelers. Good pick.
Oh.
And then my random pick was the Bills.
Very
So
nice. Well,
not too shabby this week. Not too shabby this week.
Feist, who did you pick?
Is it my turn yet?
It's your turn.
So for my picks, I locked the Cowboys in. Always, Cowboys were my lock this week, and they ended up winning. And then my underdog was the Broncos. Didn't do too well, but I think they ended up.
They
I don't
covered.
know. Yeah, covered. So, and then my random team. Obviously, you had to go with the Dolphins. I think that's been like my team that I've been kind of so eager to support because I just believe in them and what they're doing over there. So, just wait until Odell comes back. Anyways, this is the part that I couldn't wait for because viewers, I did terrible at that NBA pick'em. So I'm starting out hot, and I'm gonna continue staying hot because this is my year. Uh
Where'd you get that from?
Anyways, so standings. Let's go through them. So coming in at last place, we have your favorite Kyle Jacobs, baby, with 3 points. And then we have middle of the pack, second to last. We have Wesley.
Don't worry, bud. You'll be right where we're at here soon.
Wesley with 4.5 points. And then, just the king himself, the chosen one, the man of the man, just at the top with 11 points, baby. Mr. Feisty himself. So, I'm gonna get let me.
Good week one win, bud. Way to get all excited about a week one win.
One more. He deserves it.
You're celebrating like the Patriots did. You won the Super Bowl,
that's a
didn't you,
little,
buddy?
no. Tough luck there. No,
It's a new era.
There we go, bud. Yeah, you're starting off the league. Both me and Wesley, like I said, those locks, picking the wrong locks, it hurts you. Because I was like sitting there, I was looking at it. I'm like, wait, I scored more points than that. No, I didn't because I lost 5 from that lock.
Yeah.
So, let's get into this week, buddy. So since I lost, I get to pick first, and I'm going to go with the Chargers as my lock. They're 6.5 favorites against the Panthers. So glad that I had the first pick. Got to pick whoever was playing the Panthers because we didn't talk about that game. But shout out Hunter because boy, and hey, Derek Carr looked good. He looked pretty good against the Carolina Panthers.
There's that diss.
Pretty good.
Hey, there's that diss.
But they killed him. It was like 40-10 or something. Oh man, the Panthers to even look any worse. I feel bad to be a Panthers fan. But we'll go into my underdog. I'm surprised about this. Now, I think that Detroit should be the favorites, but I'm going to pick Tampa Bay as my underdog. They got 7 points favorites. That's just a lot of points. So I'm going to pick them as my underdog. And then as my random, I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys, who are favored by 6.5 points against the Saints.
How about Derek Carr's about to rough up them Cowboys, huh?
Nah, dude, he chose the Cowboys for a reason. He can't choose Derek Carr.
All right, well, let's get into the winning picks this week. I got the Ravens as my lock as 9.5 favorites over the Raiders. I don't know how Kyle didn't see that. And then I have the Giants as my underdog versus the Commanders at 1.5. So wow. I just think the Giants are going to win that game.
You were just talking trash on me, and then you picked the Giants to win a football game.
But it's the Commanders, buddy.
Imagine having Daniel Dimes as your quarterback. That sucks.
And then on the random, I picked the 49ers, who are 6-point favorites over the Vikings.
All right.
Sweet, boys. Well, I hope that helps you guys catch up because I'm just going to run away with this. So this week's lock for me, I picked the Colts, who are 3 points favorite over the Packers. You know the Packers are down a quarterback. They don't know what they're doing right now. Hopefully their defense steps up. But then Richardson's playing really well. So I'd love to see that and for them to continue my streak for me. My underdog, I picked the Falcons because they're 6-point underdogs to the Eagles. I will never, ever, ever, ever choose any Eagles player or choose the Eagles.
Okay.
So
Good to
even if they're
know.
favored against the Panthers, I'll choose the Panthers. And then my random is the good old Texans. I probably should have put them as my lock, but whatever. Texans are balling out. You don't
Sounds
know
like you're
what
gonna keep
receiver to
winning.
cover. Joe Mixon's balling out, so
Dude,
let's.
I can't believe that the freaking Texans got better. I can't believe that NFL allowed them to get better. Joe Mixon, you could clearly miss him against New England. You saw that, so
Yeah,
I love
and
it.
Caleb Williams will be saying, "I can't play football." So
Oh yeah, we did. Wow, we skipped over that, dude.
can
How
we give a
about that
segment real quick?
performance?
Can we just quick
How about
segment?
that performance?
That guy is booty cheeks.
Man, that game looked
96
a
point,
lot
96
faster.
yards.
Ooh, and he looked like he was running around, with like a chicken with his head cut off. I mean, he would go to scramble immediately. He
Boom.
doesn't keep his eyes downfield,
Yeah.
and they are somehow he's outscored by his defense. That's why, because the Bears got a freaking stacked defense,
Yep.
and they're able to beat the Titans. But yeah, Caleb Williams looks like the big leagues are a little bit more difficult. And I don't know if we talked about it on here, but I remember telling you boys we saw that one like anonymous GM say if he was in the same draft as Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and somebody at Patrick Mahomes, I think Caleb would be the number one over all those
Yeah.
guys.
No, thank you.
I wonder if that guy's still a GM. I
Well,
see why you
well,
kept it
well.
anonymous there, buddy.
The thing that pissed me off the most is the fact that he had all this hype, right? And then Akina Allen doesn't do anything. Tuesday doesn't do anything. I think he's hurt now too. But
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams thought he could just escape the pocket and run away and throw one of those miraculous throws that he's doing. Bro, these big boys that are 300 pounds can run, and they're coming for you. And I'm so excited for him to get beat down. Leave it at
Well,
that.
we're all excited, man. We're excited football's back. As you can tell, I mean, I've never seen all of us. Usually I'm the big talker guy, and all three of us just getting cocky, just thinking we're gonna win this pick'ems and Pats are gonna, win the AFC East. I mean, they already got a leg up on the Jets, so
Woo, woo,
but
woo.
we are so excited to be back. We're so excited to have football. As you can tell, I mean, it's just our favorite sport. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll keep you definitely updated on all things football, and we'll have episodes dropping now on Thursdays, right before Thursday night football. Get you all prepared, ready to get into your football week. And so make sure to check those episodes out on YouTube and Spotify, and then check us out, of course, on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts, posting clips and polls and pictures, everything there. So yeah, be sure to give us some love there, and we'll see you guys next week on the couch.